Today's Thursday, June 2nd. Little talk recently about oil and the stock market with OPEC meeting today or discussing today. I don't really follow exactly what they're up to, but the point is that we've had this big correlation between stocks and oil for a while. And let's just see if it's still good. So up at the top here we have just the S&P 500 in black and oil futures in red. They more or less track together, and you have to excuse when they diverge like this just because it's a relative chart and it really depends on where you draw the lines. So you can see that if we drag it back here, still has a pretty decent correlation. You can see a little change in there. But right in here, you can also see that for a while, up until perhaps a couple days ago, they were heading in different directions. So did the oil and stocks correlation break? Let's find out. I have below a correlation between the two using real statistics instead of just eyeballing it. Here's a 20-day correlation, a 30-day correlation. And just to show you how I'm doing this on Technician, I'm going to add a 50-day correlation so we get a full range. So I'm going to go up to the compare menu, and I'm going to type in the oil futures symbol. Change it to the same color just so we don't confuse things. There's 50 for us. Correlation is checked. I'm going to hit add. And what it's going to do, after it's thinking, it's going to draw another pane at the bottom. So we have a 20-day, a 30-day, and a 50-day correlation. And you can see late last year through a couple months ago, beautiful correlation, very high correlation in all of these time frames. And look what's going on here. In April and May, a lot of wiggles going on here. Look at the 30-day correlation going straight down to negative territory, meaning they were inversely correlated. And you could see that where oil was going up here and stocks were going down. The 50-day also lost its mojo here, as you would expect. It's slower, reacts slower. Now the 20-day turned back up a bit. So the stocks and oil were correlated a little bit better in recent days. But I don't want to split hairs here. You could pick whatever correlation you want to make your own case. I just want to lay out the data, and you can see that what was a great correlation in all time frames is no longer that case. And we could see it happen in here, in the middle of last year, and then it recovered. So for right now, it appears that the correlation is on, but not great. In other words, the short-term correlation is back. It's not great. It's not being confirmed in a longer sense. So I would not put my money on this day-to-day wiggles saying, it's back, and if oil goes down, stocks go down. I mean, oil is down today. Stocks are down today. But, these one-day things, I don't put that much meaning into. So I'm going to say, so again, just to conclude here, I'm probably stepping on my tongue, that the correlation is still in effect in my view. It's just not nearly as strong as it was. So just be careful. Keep checking things like this to see if the two items diverge. And if you want, you could actually draw some trend lines here. Here's a trend line on oil, and don't really have a trend line on stocks, but I do have a support line. You'll have to forgive, I'm drawing trend lines on two different items. So I would keep an eye on these two things to see if one breaks and the other doesn't. But for now, again, I would say we have a weak correlation still in effect and nothing more.